Today, we're replacing this ugly, rusted, flush-mounted light fixture that's under my awning with a new canless recessed light, downlight, wafer light, pot light, whatever you want to call it, that's what we're installing. Now, I'm demonstrating this on my awning, but it's the same process you'd use to install it on a drywall ceiling indoors. The beauty of these wafer lights is that they look great and almost any idiot can install them without much trouble. But there is a step you probably need to take after you install it that a lot of people don't know, so stick around for that. And as a bonus, there is a non-zero chance that I get tetanus or get attacked by the wasps living in my awning, so let's find out together, shall we? For my new downlight, I want a smart light that I can automate and has different colors for different holidays, so I selected the Philips Hue Slim Downlight. Yes, Philips Hue lights are stupid expensive. I paid $55 for this, but I also know they work. You could get a 6-pack of smart downlights on Amazon from some Chinese company you've never heard of for about the same price, but I've tried a lot of other brands of smart bulbs, and they drive me bonkers with their reliability issues. I installed 6 of these Hue lights in my parents' house 2 years ago, and they haven't complained a single time. Okay, they did complain one time, but only because I secretly programmed a disco mode into their lights and forgot to tell them how to disable it. So the secret to these canless lights is that they're held in by just these little clips, so you can cut a hole and install them wherever you want without having to get into the attic or mount anything to the joists or anything like that. So let's go get this installed. First, we need to remove the old light fixture. All right, check that. First, we need to turn off the power to the old light fixture. Now, because the only power running to the box up here is going through this switch, I can just turn off the power at the switch and I'll be fine. But if there's any chance someone from your house might flip that switch on while you're working on it, I highly recommend turning off the power at the breaker instead. So now we can finally remove the crappy old fixture. It only requires a couple screws and this center bolt. Next, we undo the wires. Always test the wires with a non-contact voltage tester, even though you turn the power off, before you mess with them. And always cap the wires when they're loose. All right, we're free. Before we can install the new wafer light, we need to cut a bigger hole to fit the light, and we need to remove the old junction box from the original flush-mounted fixture. Now, I'm going to use the cardboard insert that held the light into the box to trace a hole in the ceiling to fit the new light. Now, if you're mounting a new light in a drywall ceiling, the ceiling is thick enough that you can actually mount it directly beneath the joist. However, with this thin metal soffit we're putting it in, there's not enough room for the light to fit below the joist, so that's why I'm offsetting this new hole from the original hole. Now, to cut the hole, the easiest way is to use a hole saw. And when cutting into a metal soffit like this, you'll actually want to run the drill in reverse, and that prevents the teeth from catching and ripping the metal. However, if you're only doing one light and you don't want to spend the money on a hole saw, and you don't want to make a separate trip to Home Depot to buy one, you can just cut the metal with the snips. Or if it's drywall, just cut it with a drywall saw. Now, cutting the metal was actually easier than I thought it would be, and it would have been even easier and made a cleaner cut if I used a curved snips instead of the straight one I had, but again, didn't want to go to Home Depot. Now, no matter what you do, it's definitely going to leave a sharp, jagged edge, so wear gloves and be careful. Now that we have our hole, it gives us some room to work with. We can take out the old junction box. Now, I just used a pry bar and a hammer, but go ahead and be creative with your demolition. Just be careful, because as you can see, the pry bar here accidentally opened up the hole a little bit larger than it should have, and I may have to deal with that a little bit later. Now, with the box out, we can take the most important step. Check for wasps. Now, I know they've been flying into this awning all summer. I don't know where, but I held up my phone and checked it out. Unfortunately, there's no nest, so we can deal with that another time. Before connecting the wires for the new light, dry fit the pot light into the new hole. Now, my original hole was a little bit too small, so I had to take the snips again and make it a little bigger to make it fit. Next, we need to determine which wire is the line wire and which is the neutral wire. If the electrician did their job right, the black wire should be the line wire, but it's best to test it. To do that, turn the power back on, use your non-contact voltage tester to test each wire. The hot wire is your line wire. Now go turn the power back off. Your new canless recessed light comes with its own junction box. Pop off one of the holes in the box and feed the wire into the box. Now, it's not necessary, but I used one of these plastic push-in cable connectors in the hole. It just keeps the cable from resting on the sharp edge of the hole and helps hold it in the box a little bit better. Now connect the bare ground wire to the yellow-green wire in the box. The Hue Downlight conveniently already has push-in connectors attached to their wires, which is nice. So then we can attach the neutral wire to the white wire and the line wire to the black wire. Neatly tuck the wires into the box and snap it shut. Then you can set the box up into the hole so it rests in the ceiling. Just make sure it's not sitting on the new light when you put it in. And finally, we can install the light. Pinch in the 2 clamps so it fits into the hole. Push everything in and voila, we are done. And it looks pretty good. Now we can turn the power on. And yes, it works. Now we just need to get it connected. Now, these are Hue bulbs, and there are ways to connect and control Hue bulbs without using a Hue bridge, but if you want the best performance and the best features, you're going to want to use a Hue bridge. They're pretty cheap if you buy them used, or if you buy them in a pack of bulbs, a Hue bridge is basically free. Using the Hue app to connect the downlight is just a few taps and you're done. So at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that there's another step you might need to take after installing the new Hue Downlight. I know that a lot of my audience already knows this, so if you're one of those people, good for you. Have a cookie while I explain this to our new smart home friends. But what I'm talking about is your wall switch. When you install a smart bulb, which this Philips Hue Downlight is, it needs power all the time. That means your switch needs to be on all the time. Now what I do, I automate these lights. So it's gonna turn on every night at sunset. It's gonna turn off later on at night. So I really don't need a switch, right? I leave the switch on all the time. And if you're worried about getting turned off, you can put a cover on that switch, but I don't have a cover on it and I haven't had any problems. However, if you really wanna be able to control the light from the wall switch, you do have a couple of options. The first one is to replace the old dumb switch with a smart switch that allows you to turn off the switch's relay. Now this basically passes the power through the switch and turns that switch into a button controller. There are also relays you can install behind the switch, including one from Philips Hue that does basically the same thing. But honestly, that's just a lot of pointless effort you don't need to do. The best thing to do if you want to have control at the wall is to remove the old switch, wire the two wires from that switch together, then install a button controller where the switch used to be. Philips Hue has a button controller if you want to remain in the Hue ecosystem. Otherwise, I love Lutron Picos if you have a Lutron bridge. Or if you want a Z-Wave option, this Zen 37 scene controller from Zeus is pretty cool. It has 4 buttons you can program for on, off, dimming, or different color scenes. And it has a magnetic mount so you can take it off, control the lights from elsewhere in your house until you lose the controller in your house. Now, if you want to know how I'm automating my exterior lights to automatically light up in different holiday colors, check out this video right here. Unless you're watching this video right now, before I post that one, in which case there's some other exciting video right here. Thanks for watching.